Welcome to the video, and today we're going to take a look at the brand new DJI Air 3. So let's get into it. Well, let's start off with the first page. Now the first thing I noticed is the 46-minute flight time. Now in the real world, I would only expect to get maybe 30 to 35 minutes at the most, and if you're flying super fast, maybe only 25 minutes. As always, companies try to get the best specs possible, and I'm sure it's possible to get 46 minutes, but you're gonna have to do no wind, flying at the perfect speed, at the perfect altitude. It's just not gonna happen. So expect about 30 minutes. Now it has a wide angle and a 3x zoom, and we can scroll down and see right here that it's a 70mm f2.8 and a 24mm f1.7. I love having two cameras on a drone. You can get that wide perspective like normal, but having that zoom is really awesome. And it's got obstacle avoidance sensing all around, which is awesome as well. Something that the minis don't have. We can see that it has a 48 megapixel sensor, which I would expect, and do 4K 60 in HDR. And from the video that I saw earlier, it can also do 100 frames a second in 4K, but we'll have to see what the compression is for that. It appears that they are using the same sensor for both lenses, and that is awesome, especially considering that this is a 1/1/3 inch sensor, and the pixel size is around 2.4 microns. Now this isn't a huge pixel size. For example, my Canon R8 has a pixel size of around 6 microns, but it's not super tiny. So that's good to see. And the aperture is f1.7 for the wide and 2.8 for the zoom. So pretty bright lenses. Now, because these are drones, they're going to be tiny, but that's okay. If you really want the best performance in video, I would recommend getting an Inspire 3 with an 8K full frame sensor, but that's gonna be pretty pricey and not easily usable for most content creators. As we scroll down, it's gonna be all the same drone stuff that the other ones have. Now here we go for the specs for video. 4K at 100 frames a second, but there's a little 4 icon there. Let's see what the caveat is. The only thing that I can see is that when recording at 100 frames a second, that it plays as a slow motion video, which is fine. I really hope that you can set that to be 24 or 30 frames a second so that you don't have to do some extra speed ramping in post to get it to be your timeline speed. But I don't have the drone right now, so I can't confirm that. Moving down from there, it's got 10-bit D-Log and 10-bit HLG. I've used D-Log Cinelike on the DJI Avata, and it's pretty easy to grade. I assume this would be the same. If you want to use those formats, I would recommend using DaVinci Resolve because of its color grading tools. It's just really easy to use. This is really cool. The new battery charger has this new feature where it'll actually drain the batteries that are lower to charge up one more battery. And that's super cool because a lot of times when you're flying a drone, you come back with 20% left. And if you have 3 batteries at 20%, well, that could be 1 battery at 60%. So that's pretty cool that it's got that feature. It's got the obstacle avoidance like normal and the new transmission system. Now this is pretty cool. It's now upgraded to 20 kilometers of transmission distance. Now, I wouldn't expect to get those in the real world again. You might be able to achieve those without any electronic interference and within line of sight, but a more powerful transmission system will just be better in general. So that's great. It can shoot in 2.7K vertical, which is nice, but what this means is you can't vertically rotate the camera like you can on the DJI Mini 3 Pro. So that's interesting. I wish that they would allow you to flip the camera. I personally don't love shooting in vertical, so I don't know if I'd actually use that feature, but it's cool that it's there, you know, and everything else. So for pricing, you're looking at $1,100 for the standard kit, and that includes the standard remote controller, the standard battery, and drone. Now we can pull up a little thing right here, and 2 propellers. Now, I would recommend not getting the standard controller. I've used it in the past, and it's just like really annoying. I would recommend spending a little extra and get the one with the screen built in. It's so nice to not have to plug your phone in, and it's super bright. What is it, 700 nits? So maybe not quite as bright as the newest phones, but it's totally enough. And it's only $200 extra to get the screen built in, so I would recommend getting the Air 3 Fly More combo with that extra battery and controller. It also comes with the bag and the multi-charger, which is really nice. I've had basically the same kit with a Mini 3 Pro, and I really loved using it. And then you can buy more batteries for $159 each. I would recommend not buying this Kingston card and probably getting something like a SanDisk, like a V30 card, maybe a Angelbird V60 if you want to take advantage of all the features. I'll have an SD card that I recommend for this linked below. Now before we end the video, let's compare it to the other drones in the lineup. So the Air 3 versus the Air 2S versus the Mini 3 Pro and the Mavic 3 Pro. Now we can see the sensors right here. The Mavic 3 Pro is going to be the best one, and as you can see, it's flagship, and it's actually got 3 cameras. So it's got the Micro Four Thirds, Hasselblad camera for the main, which is huge, and it's got the same sensors for the other 2 lenses. So there are all the megapixel count and the aperture numbers. It is really interesting to see that the Air 2S actually has higher video capabilities than the Air 3, at least when it comes to pure resolution, at 5.4K compared to just 4K. But it doesn't have that higher frame rate that the Air 3 has. It also has the same formats, but again, if you want the best formats, get the Mavic 3 Pro or the Inspire, because those have ProRes and ProRes RAW capabilities. So if you want the best performance, get those, but they're much more expensive. Flight time across the board is pretty similar, except for the Air 2S, but that makes sense because it is a much older drone. They all have the obstacle avoidance, except for the Mini 3 Pro doesn't have omnidirectional sensing. The transmission distance for the Air 3 is by far the best, but that makes sense because it's the newest one. And that's pretty much it. Again, if you want the best performance out of your drone possible, get the Mavic 3 Pro Cine or the Inspire 3. But I think the Air 3 is probably the best value option. It's gonna be a lot better than the Mavic 3 Pro, but you will need a license to fly it in the US. So make sure to consider that when picking a drone up. If it's more than 250 grams, you're gonna need to license the drone and get all that set up. So something to consider getting. I can also see that the Air 2S is a little bit cheaper than it originally was at around $800. So that's something to consider too if you want to pick that drone up. That's pretty much it for this video. If you want to pick up any of the drones that were mentioned in this video, check out the links below. And if you could please consider subscribing to see more content like this, that would help out a lot. Well, that's it, and I'll see you in the next video.